Good morning, everybody. I wanted to make a video that is more comprehensive, talking about best practices for Amazon listing images. I actually got a request on YouTube to kind of go over this in the light of a professional graphic designer that might be working on these. So that's what this video is all about. Basically, best practices for listing images and how to really do it right on Amazon. So we're going to start with main image. So Amazon's main image always has to have a white background. And it used to be that products would violate this all the time. You'll still see some categories that are not really following this. One would be furniture. So let's just see if we have a desk. Let's see how many desks. Not too bad. So we've got two of the organic ranking products that are not following Amazon's terms. What I understand about this is it really depends on the category manager, how much they're going to police this. So furniture has been getting increasingly more strict, I guess you could say, as has every category, really. Another one is bedding. If you look up like a duvet cover, a lot of the time, every duvet cover will have not a white background. And I found an interesting category last night. I was consulting about these star projectors, and there was only one product, which is this one, happens to be the top ranking product, that didn't have like this star background. And these are really not okay with Amazon. And I think the way that they're getting around it is just by having some white. I wonder if that gets around the algorithm that's checking for these problem backgrounds. So for the most part, when you upload a main image that doesn't have a white background, Amazon will kick it out. So it'll just say your listing is suppressed because your main image doesn't have a white background. And it does that too if you don't properly cut out a listing. So if you have like a t-shirt or something and you just took a picture of it in a light box and you didn't properly remove the white background, it's going to flag that almost right away. The other consideration for main image is text. The algorithm hates text. It's doing a much better job at picking out text anymore. One category where we can sometimes see text is protein bars. And the issue with protein bars is it's really important for us to let you know that we have more protein bars in our box than our competitor. And that presents a problem for us because if our packaging doesn't have that text in a pretty big font, you're not going to be able to see it on the search page. So you can see Robert Irvine's Fit Crunch. These protein bars are amazing, by the way. You can get them at Costco. You can see 18 protein snacks. So they don't have a problem. But let's see, this one doesn't have a problem. Quest does. I can't see here. I can see it in the title, but I can't see it in the actual text on here. So I've consulted with a lot of companies where we actually needed to Photoshop that onto the bar. And I'm trying to think which one. I don't think I have a live example of something that's been actually photoshopped. Oh, here we go. So this has been photoshopped on, and it's been photoshopped in a way where it looks like it's on the box. They didn't do a great job because it's going above the box. So probably the algorithm now would be able to see that and would pull that listing down saying you added text. A lot of people in the early days were adding like best selling, greatest, 2021 award winning, whatever they wanted to add to make their box more clickable. And so that's really going away. But that is one thing that we are doing now to basically add text to a main image is usually when it's really important to have a number here. And we just Photoshop it to look like it's on the box. And that's still working pretty well. So the other thing I wanted to talk about with main image is orientation of things. This came out a few years ago where basically if you turn your product to the right or left, that it produces more conversion rate. And this was kind of a crazy thing to think about, but it actually did produce results. So if you lean the product to the right, it actually points to the add to cart when you get onto the product page. So if this bar was pointing to the right, the sort of psychology idea is that you would click on the add to cart. I worked on a product that demonstrated this really well. And it was this. So this mattress topper was originally in this orientation, but it was actually, the image was flipped the other way. So the flip went to the left. And so we tested it flipping to the right and found that the conversion, I think, was like 10% higher, which is super interesting. As far as click through, it's hard to say whether that produces more click through or not. But the evidence seems to say that if you've landed on the product page, a flip to one way, usually right, produces more conversion. So I love this too because Viscosoft was the first mattress topper to do this. And then now we've seen so many companies try and replicate it. And even if you search for mattress topper, I know I always cover mattress toppers in my videos. I think it's just because there's so many interesting quirks in this category. This also is a good category to talk about lack of white background. So yeah, you'll see companies doing this, and usually it means that they're older listings and their image has been grandfathered in. But if you make a new listing and you put it up, it's not going to fly anymore. So when you're messing around with main images, I would suggest testing different orientations for your product. Another one that I loved, which is not up anymore, I don't know why he took these down. He does a lot of, this client does a lot of basically messing around with his products. So they don't look like they used to anymore. But this was genius. So this was a couple years ago. He had his bottle, like it was centered on the image, and it was just crooked to the right. So it looked really funky next to the other herbal anti-inflammatories. So if you look for like gut lining supplement, something like that, next to the other products, like it just super stood out, and I thought it was genius. So when we did his A+ page, we did it like the bottles were flying around, the pills were flying around, like it was so much fun. And so I mean, for the longest time I haven't wanted to talk about this because I thought maybe he would use it, but he's gone away from that now. I've never seen anyone else do that. So if your branding is irreverent, if it's fun and cute, there's definitely some supplements that are like that. Try that out. Try like a very strange orientation. You might find that it produces more click through. You might find that it produces more conversion. And it's important to understand the distinction between those two because it kind of depends on what your goal is. So if your traffic is really good and you're looking to improve conversion, maybe that's not going to help you as much. But that's just an idea. Think about strange ways to orient your stuff. Another category, let's see, vitamin C serum. The top, so True Skin had a different main image for a long time, and they must have gotten pulled down because I think they had like an orange in here. I think they had the actual dropper showing. Maybe I'm misremembering, but when I looked this up recently, I was like, oh, that's not the image they used to have. But this category can have a lot of interesting graphics going on. Sometimes they pull the dropper out and have a drop coming out. That is for like Amazon's terms don't disallow that. That's part of your product. You can show it dropping if you want, as long as it's on a white background. What's not allowed is to show like fruit or to show probably this water is not really being allowed. I had a supplement company ask me to do a bunch of like water and stuff like this in their main image. And I said, we could try it, but it's probably going to be a waste of our time because they probably will suppress the listing. So things like this, like the stark drop shadow, that's allowed. Basically, you don't want to distract too much from just being able to show your product big. That's important, both for readability of the text on the actual packaging and just relative size on the product page. It's kind of the same principle as people having big eyes in magazine covers. Like, for some reason, people are more attracted to that. So it's kind of the same principle that we think about on Amazon. We want the product to be big. The other thing that I already talked about in candles is in some cases you want to show the product demonstrated. So you can see here with the star projectors, that's why these products with the star background have survived and why everyone's copied that, because it's successful for them to demonstrate the product. Same thing in candles, we show the wick lit and we show how many wicks. So as opposed to showing the candle frontally so you can't see what's inside the candle, it's preferable to show the number of wicks and to show them lit, just demonstrating the product. And it's kind of a lizard brain thing. Like if you're looking for a candle and you see a lit candle, it feels more like a candle than just seeing a jar. So that is basically all I want to talk about for main image. There's a few little things. Definitely ask any questions if you have questions about drop shadow or reflections or anything like that. Let's go on to second image. So I guess we can use TrueSkin. TrueSkin is a very successful product. I talked to a brand that is in the same sort of niche recently, and he said that he thinks TrueSkin is basically it's not their own brand, like they're a private label. So I don't know what they're private labeled for, but if they are, it's been a super successful business for them. What is the second image? So in supplements, your second image needs to immediately be ingredients. Same thing with facial serum. People need to know what else is in your facial serum. Yeah, so ingredients, doing a great job. You could make these larger. Is kind of hard to see. What I see a lot of companies do is they create an actual graphic and they put the ingredients on the graphic instead of showing the jar, or you could show the back of the jar and then you could make the ingredients magnified. The issue with not showing the back of the jar is always, are people going to believe that those are really the ingredients? Like sometimes it feels more legit to see them on the actual jar. So if you're anything that has a bunch of ingredients that people need to see, maybe you're a coffee alternative that has a bunch of like tea and Ayurvedic herbs in it, you need to list those for people, both for allergens, for just overall information and legitimacy. So that pretty much covers it. If you have ingredients, what if your electronics? You need your specs. So this is a different video, but there are emotional products and then there are search products. There are some products that people are just going like, okay, what are the ingredients? What's the price? And what's the purity? So is there some additive that I don't like? Or maybe there's a fragrance that I don't like. That's a search product. An experience product is I'm emotionally making this decision based on the beauty of the brand, based on loyalty or feeling or emotion. So this is more of a search product. Every product is a little mixture of both. But that's really going to guide whether, like, kind of the way that you organize your listing images. So for this, I know it's mainly features that I need to pull out. Only time that you wouldn't do that is if you had a search product that was not reasonably priced. So if your price is too high or you are inferior in some way, pointing that out immediately is going to hurt your conversion rate. So you have to find an artistic way of mixing some emotion in there so that you don't just get compared on the brass tacks of everything. So let's see. So this is a second image where we really needed ingredients. Let me think of more of an emotional product. Let's see. Maybe a gift set. Skincare can be like that. Fashion for sure. I wonder if we have like women's yoga pants. A lot of the time, these are really cheap, really like imported type of products anymore. So I'd be curious to see. These bullet points might not be. Okay, so there's not optimized images here. One product that I just saw was Gold Bond men's lotion. Nice. So they've worked on the listing images. They're choosing to put basically ingredients here. They're showing the back of the bottle. So um, again, if you have like a puzzle, or if you have toys, um, you may show like your specs. So how many pieces does this come with? What's the relative size of the pieces? Anything that we need to call out, maybe an age range. For this, size is really important. So I would choose to put a size call out pretty early, especially if you can't see it in the main image. But every um, every category is different. Also, we could probably look at these. So these are super competitive on features. And so they really need to point out like, this is how many colors I have. This is what we've chosen for our second image. Also, not trying to cram too much information in here. Ultimately, your listing images should really follow the flow of your bullet points. So before even doing listing images optimization, it's really important to have a proper SEO optimization, because all we're doing in listing images is we have a graphical representation of what's going on in the bullet points. So if I looked at these bullet points, if they were optimized by me, I would basically say the first thing we're talking about here is the first thing we're going to talk about here. And then the second thing we're talking about here is the second thing we're going to talk about here. And most of the time, we don't deviate from that. It's always important to not introduce new information in the listing images, which nobody that's something that I kind of came up with. That's sort of my way of doing things. And my reasoning for that is that would be A plus content if I'm going to introduce new information. And if the information is not in the bullet points and it really needs to be, then I need to add it to the bullet points. Not trying to be all things to all people above the fold. We just need to provide enough information to make the sale. And if someone is not swayed yet, or they need more information, they need more expository information about the brand or the materials or the construction of everything, we can do that in our A plus content. So really finding out what's important here by doing proper competitor research, by doing proper checking of what's working in the categories. So Amazon's choice, what are they writing there? And what do we understand about the success of that? So need to cover all the specs, need to cover the size, need to cover the colors, need to provide beautiful imagery. So it needs to be up to Amazon standards. The standards for size are 1500 times 1500 pixels. That's how you get this magnification. They are either PNGs or JPEGs. You probably know that if you're already working on Amazon a lot. Would be good to have exactly a square here. If it's not an exact square, Amazon will crop it. So it'll show smaller than it actually is, because Amazon needs to crop it to the right size. Text readability is really important, and that's one of the number one things that I see non-Amazon graphic designers doing is the text is too small. And that's usually a way that I can tell my client, like, the last graphic designer that you hired was not Amazon specialized. And that's just because other areas of online commerce that we work in, the text sizing is not so sensitive. Usually you can magnify a little bit better than this. So really text sizing needs to be pretty big. And I mean, every font is different, so it's hard to say a relative size, but you could probably give millimeter measurements to how large these need to be. I can pretty much eye it and tell you these are still too small, or they need to be bolded or something. Or you could just orient this differently so that it just doesn't have to be so small. And then, I mean, there's a lot of art that goes into it. So I probably would have chosen to have a white background on this one so that you can differentiate the tiles here and read them better. Another thing that I see from images that have been done by international people is a lot of the time they're just way too busy. And I find that, the graphic designers that I have worked with and that work for me, we tend to go in a more minimalist direction. And there's more white space and there's more simplicity and there's just more space for everything to breathe. So, I mean, like the text could have been a lot bigger. And we could have easily made this more readable. There's dead space in here, so there's just the image composition is like pretty important. Also that you're following a brand guide, so you're following the same text size, the same fonts, the same colors for callouts, the same icons. So that's pretty important just for cohesion, like brand cohesion. Um, yeah, again, the text is too small here. Another thing is these are all what I would consider lifestyles, and I would like to have some that are more infographic based. So just showing someone sleeping in every single one is, I think it's a little bit overkill. And I made these for strip lights one time, and about half of my images were white background, and about half of them were like this. They were colorful, and it kind of mixes it up. Like these will kind of all string together if you're looking at them one by one. So I think it helps visually to cut that up a little bit. Um, what else? So, covered text, covered features. Definitely want to call out benefits here too. So, a mixture of features and benefits, inspiring ways to use the product. Also, an alternate way to use the product. That doesn't really work well for star projectors. I'm trying to think of a product that comes with a product that comes with a glass jar is always a good one. Like, oh, use this glass jar for storage and be eco-friendly. You don't have to throw it away. Let me just go to a different brand that I like a lot. I've always liked Hippies. I've always liked their really cute Amazon images. Again, this is not really like an alternate use product. Oh, their images aren't up. Let's see if this one is. Okay, we've got more here. This is very good. For a consumable, they know they're getting compared on these four things pretty quickly. So, by the way, we're vegan. Just so you know, 3 grams of fiber, 4 grams of protein. They're probably getting compared with another dried pea or something that has more protein or whatever. So they just want to differentiate that super quickly, answer it so that they can produce that conversion. And that's really going to guide the order of your images as well. Higher conversion to lower conversion. So what are the most important things to put up front? If I have someone with a really short attention span, I'm not going to put this image last because it's really important information. So as we're towards the top, we're infographics. As we're towards the bottom, we are just so you know, restating these things a little bit smaller, a little bit more information, and it's a really beautiful graphic. So this is just kind of for fun and for eye catching, but it's not super informational. It's not super dense. None of their images really are dense with information. And I would definitely suggest going less on the information, because if someone needs to know more information, they can just read your bullet points. Another thing important for listing images is to show the relative size. So Hippies is not doing this, but net weight 4 ounces. I can't really imagine what size this bag is. So if I was in charge of their listing images, I would say have someone holding the bag. And for goodness sakes, don't do that weird gray person that I always see. I see it a lot in like clothing. They'll have them on their size chart, but there's also like just any generic product. There's so many of them on Amazon where the person is like holding it and there's like a thing that's supposed to show a measurement. I hate that guy. So I just think it makes you seem generic to show that guy, or gal. I don't remember. But yeah, showing somebody with the product. Let me try and think. A book would be important for that. I don't see a lot of people showing lifestyles of people holding books, but I think it would be helpful for them. I'm trying to think of a product that I've seen recently where someone is holding it, and I know what I want to show. Half-gallon water bottle. The imagery strategy is not great in this subcategory, but they're doing some things pretty well. But I remember, nope, not this brand. Who showed someone holding it? Nope. Oh, yeah, she's holding it. That's a Photoshop. Wow, the cutout is really bad on that, if you can see. It looks like they cut her out, too. You can see, like, her hair is soft here, but then the sides of the straw are, like, really jagged. So that's a bad Photoshop, but this is kind of how you can get away with it if your client comes to you with one image. So they're like, we have one image of our product, make do with it. And they've done a great job. Like they've photoshopped it. This is not a great Photoshop, but they've done a great job of like working around what they had to work with. But there was one product, maybe it went out of stock here. Maybe I'm not going to be able to show you the product that I'm thinking of. I don't want to click on any ads here. Maybe it was this one. Nope, not that one either. Well, maybe we could go to Old Faithful. Go to usually, yeah, Hydro Flask. Let's see what Hydro Flask is doing here. Bet you they'll have some lifestyles. There's an actual lifestyle. You can tell she's holding the bottle. It shows, it's hard to tell. It's hard for me to believe that they would take lifestyle imagery this far away. So I'm wondering if they made a Photoshop this far away to kind of get away with doing the Photoshop, but I can't really tell there. So it could be either way. Does this match the relative style of the other image? Yeah, I think it's the same temperature. It seems like it's the same photo shoot. So that's a real image. So yeah, I can usually tell right away. Color is a big giveaway. And just edge softness is usually a big giveaway. But they have just some really nice lifestyles to work with here. So people are holding them. And this is what I would like to see in your listing images. And to show the relative size, it's really important for water bottles. So you know why, you can see why water bottles do it a lot. The portability is really important. Anything that's supposed to be portable, very important size. Anything that's supposed to fit in something else. I'm trying to think. I worked on car organizers recently. That was really important to show size because cars are different sizes. So showing someone with the product, very important. And you can show that just with a white background. So someone in studio holding, and you can literally do a gradient. You can do like a diagonal gradient and then be white on the other side. A lot of this is really artistic, but you can see also they're demonstrating a lot of what I already said, which is information, lifestyles. And usually my choice would be to put some text on a lifestyle as a call out, just like enjoy, not extreme, enjoy amazing cold water or something like that, or refreshing cold water. And then the call out for this one would just be like, carry your water bottle easily anywhere, something like that. So, and then they've got a lot of videos here, which I won't go over videos because this is about listing images, but just notice that they have their lifestyles towards the end. Other thing that go towards the end of your listing images would be made in the USA, although made in the USA might be an emblem on some other graphic that you're doing, but you can do a made in the USA just on its own. Yeah, I'm not going to show that one. I had one that I was thinking I was going to show. Also, alternate use could go towards the end. Scientific research. We worked on some essential oils that they had like scientific reports for the purity. They chose to put those on the end because they were really ugly and really detailed. So you really had to give a lot of attention. But basically, my idea for Amazon with images is always like I have about 5 minutes of someone's attention, and probably not even that. They're probably on their lunch break and they're in a hurry and they need to make a quick decision. How can I streamline this process for them? How can I make everything super readable and super accessible and make sure they don't have any questions? When I optimize for copywriting, I always like to say, what questions are people asking about this and how can I answer them immediately instead of making them go to this section? So I'm trying to think if there are any other things that I do for listing images. I think it's pretty well covered. So let me know if you have any questions. I am pretty much an open book and I've worked in almost every category at this point. So I could probably give you some specific advice for particular products. And yeah, I hope this was helpful.